Hey Floss Tube, welcome back. This is my 110th Floss Tube video, and I'm excited to share with you what I have been working on. And I have a really great surprise to share with you also. But first of all, I want to welcome you. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you enjoy the things that I have to share with you. And if you are returning, thank you for coming back and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. So I looked this morning and realized that it had been a couple of months since I had posted another video. I've been working on bunches of cross stitch. I have a whole bunch of stuff to share with you, but the time has just kind of gotten by me. So like I said, I have a whole bunch to share with you, and we'll talk about kind of what my plans are and that kind of thing. But first of all, I want to respond to just a couple of comments that have been left on my channel since the last time I posted a video. The first was from Stitch Odyssey, who asked me if I had learned to tango while I was in Argentina. And unfortunately, I did not have the opportunity to learn how to dance the tango. However, I really did kind of gain an appreciation for the tango. I don't know if things have changed down there, but when I was there, and of course this has been 30 years now, you couldn't, in Buenos Aires, you heard tangos all over the place. I'd hear them on the colectivos, which are what they call the buses. I heard them on colectivos all the time. The drivers would be playing it. You'd hear them in the street. There'd be businesses that would be playing them on loudspeakers. And at first they were kind of annoying to me, but I really enjoyed them, and I actually enjoy listening to tango. I really like Carlos Gardel. Julio Sosa is another tango singer that I really like, and yeah, so they really grew on me. Also, Lilia asked about my new clock. It's not a new clock. There's a grandfather clock right over here that we've had almost since when we were married. It was a gift from my wife's parents, and I usually remember to turn the chimes off, and I had forgotten to turn the chimes off on the last video. So you got to hear our grandfather clock chime a couple of times. She also asked about the cuckoo clock. The cuckoo clock is a clock that I bought in Germany when I was in high school. Unfortunately, the cuckoo clock is not working anymore. I don't know what's happened, but it just will not. I can start the pendulum going, and like 5 minutes later the pendulum stops. For some reason it won't run anymore. So it's hanging on our wall. It's just a nice decoration now. I've had it repaired once before. I could probably take it into a clock shop and have it repaired. I just haven't done that. So that's all of the comments that I had. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for watching my videos. Okay, so before we get started, I'll talk about this. Back in March, I decided that I was going to have something framed, and I went through all my stuff and we decided on a piece that I was going to get framed. And I went into the attic to have Sandy frame it. Sandy is a wonderful framer, and she does a really great job. And when I took it in, Sandy said, "My lead time is about 6 months. It takes me 6 months before the moldings that I order come in." And I said, "Well, I'm not in any real hurry. I'm willing to wait." And it has taken about 6 months. Yesterday, I got a call from her on my voicemail saying, "It's finished. It's beautiful. You can come in and get it." So that's what I did this morning. Is I went into the attic to pick up my framed piece. It's summer school this weekend. I'm not at summer school, so I didn't get to see Jean. I always enjoy talking to Jean when I go into the attic, but Jean is at summer school. But I'll show you what I got. So just a minute. Okay, so this is it. This is a piece that I finished stitching back in 2020. So it's been about 2 years ago that I finished it. And this was a lot of work. When I took it in to get it framed, I had so many people come over and look at it and ooh and ah over it. But this is what I had framed. This, of course, is Teresa Wentzler's English Garden Sampler. And I just really love it. I decided I wanted to have a really elaborate gold frame and no matte, because I thought with the frame and with the border around the piece that it certainly didn't need another matte. So yeah, and I'll bring it a little bit closer so that you can see. We placed kind of a lavender fabric behind it so that you can see that through the cut work. And so I think that really goes well with what's here in the border. We tried several different colors and decided that we wanted that. It's either lavender or lilac, but and then of course here's the garden scene, and yeah, so it's framed. We have to we're trying to decide where we're going to hang it. We haven't decided yet, but this is my first sampler that I have finished and actually framed. So if I ever get enough samplers to have a sampler wall, this would probably be one of the anchors to a sampler wall, I guess. So yeah, I just really love how this has turned out. She is, it's really beautiful. So thank you, Sandy. Thank you so much for doing such a wonderful job. So I think what I'm going to do, at least for right now, and for this video at least, is I'm going to take down my Let Freedom ring and put this up. So if you want to just hold on for a minute, I'm going to switch these out. So there she is. There it is, English Garden Sampler by Teresa Wentzler. Like I said, I'm really happy with that. Okay, and I've also realized I've got to get one more thing. Let's talk about what I have been working on. And I've been working on quite a bit. The last time I talked to you, I said I was going to reduce my rotation, and I kept adding more and more pieces on to my reduced rotation. So I don't know if I really have a reduced rotation. I think I'm just like working on my focus piece and then whatever else I want to work on, I guess. So it's kind of a little bit crazy, but so I have 4 pieces to show you, and then of course my focus piece. And so after the video that I showed you last time, I started working on this. This is Sunshine and Shadows. It's a design by Graphs by Barbara and Cheryl. I have stitched 2 of their designs. This is the 3rd of their designs. I really like them. It's full coverage. It's a picture of basically it's an adaptation of watercolor, I think, by an artist in South Carolina. And it's like the side of a house. So it's like the side yard of the house. And I really like this because of the way the light plays in this picture. So I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. And this is being stitched on 32 count Ivory Lugana, I think. And I've just been working diagonals, and this is what it looks like now. So I think it's really starting to take shape. I'm getting close to, well, this walkway here, this brick walkway has been kind of dull. It's like reds and grays, but now we're getting over to the other side of the walkway where there's this orange, I think it's dirt that runs along the side of the walkway. And so we're getting there. We're getting more of the house. You can see this is the picket fence that runs along the front of the house. That is really starting to take shape. It'll make a lot more sense when I get up here. You'll be able to see the top of the gate. But yeah, this planter is almost finished, and I really think it's really starting to look very, very three-dimensional, and I'm really happy with what I've been able to accomplish, and look forward to stitching more. This is a huge piece. It's about 200 by 300 stitches. It's a little bit less than that, but it's something that if I want to finish it, it'll have to become a focus piece, I've decided. Kind of like what I'm doing with Queen Anne's lace right now. But yeah, I'm really happy with that. So sunshine and shadows. And like I say, I'm really, really happy with my progress. This one is in for the long term. It's been a couple of years since I started it, and I would love to get more on this, but it's going to have to wait its turn. And that's kind of what I've been thinking, is I'm just going to have to, I have a whole bunch of great big huge pieces that are going to take a lot of time, and I'm just going to have to run them through being a focus piece. So I'm going to share a little bit of statistics about this. I started it on August 17th, 2020, so yeah, almost exactly 2 years ago. I've only stitched on it 30 days since I started it, so about a month. That's about really only a month's worth of work. And I had somebody ask me how many stitches I do sitting, and it kind of depends on what piece I'm working on. So on this piece right now, I about every night it's about 256 stitches. That's like almost 3 blocks a night, which feels about right. And according to that pace, that means I have about 163 days left to stitch on it. So yeah, there's a long ways to go. And like I said, when it becomes a focus piece, then I think it'll go a lot faster. Okay, so that's sunshine and shadows. And then, like I said, I just kept adding to my rotation. So I said, this is going to be my reduced rotation. And then I thought, oh, I want to do one more. So then I decided I was going to do this. This is the Autumn Sampler by Kooler Design Studio. I have stitched the Winter Sampler and really want to stitch. I want to finish all 4 so that I have the entire series. So I decided it was time to work on Autumn Sampler. I have a couple of other series that are in the same kind of situation. I've stitched winter and I need to do the other seasons. So anyway, I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. And I'm stitching this on 28 count Tea Dyed Monaco. And I'm stitching with the called for DMC, 2 threads over 2 strands. Okay. And yeah, this has actually been really fun. And I'm starting to get out of Halloween, which I'm excited about. Not that just because it means I'm getting to other sections of the design. So this is what it looks like now. So you can see, yeah, so these are candy corns. There's candy corn border that comes up here. This is a cornucopia, and I'm about hit the place where the fruit starts So we've got the cornucopia. This witch, this is her face. I think this next pass is going to finish her face. And of course, this is a great big huge moon. I finished the pumpkin down here, and this Halloween border is finished. And now I'm working across here. There's a border of apples that runs around here underneath the schoolhouse. So there's a lot of empty space here. So once I get out of this, I think things are going to go pretty quickly, because I have a lot of empty space in here. It's mostly backstitch. It's like supposed to be notebook, loose leaf notebook paper, lined loose leaf notebook paper is what it'll look like when it's finished, with a picture of a schoolhouse over here. So because of that, I think this will really start to take off the next time I work on her. But you can see, I'll give you a little bit closer look. You can kind of see that says Halloween, can't you? When I do the backstitch, it'll say Halloween. But yeah, I was really excited to stitch this cornucopia. I finished this raven here too. So we're getting up into Thanksgiving over here and school over here. So yeah, so that is really starting to take shape also. And I'll just give you some more statistics. So I started that May 9th, 2021. So it's been about a year, well, a year and a half now probably. Only 21 days of stitching. And at the pace I'm going, it looks like I have another 114 days. So that's another one that's going, it's not quite as bad as Sunshine and Shadows, but it's another one that's going to take some time. Okay. And then I thought, well, you know, that's like 5. That was like now 4 things in my reduced rotation. I thought, well, I really need to go back to Red House Sampler, which was the first thing that I said was going to be in my reduced rotation. But then I thought, well, you know, I started this, and this is a small piece, and it'll be finished quickly. So I decided, well, I'm gonna call this as the beginning of my reduced rotation. So I pulled out Die Freitag 1849. I started this a couple months ago, and I thought, yeah, I really want, this is a small piece that it can go in my rotation because it's not going to take me long to stitch. I think I've changed my mind on that a little bit, just because things get really complicated in these borders. Each border underneath the letters gets more and more complicated, and then of course the roses down here are really complicated. So I may be not quite right when I say that this won't take very long, but I did decide to give it another week's worth of time. So I'll show you what it looked like the last time. And this is being stitched on 36 count Weeks Cocoa. It's Weeks Zweigart, and I'm stitching with the called for Gloriana silk. And the cocoa is the called for fabric as well. And this is what it looks like now. I think once everything gets stitched, the fabric is a little bit darker than I remember when I saw the model, and so it's kind of hard to see everything. But I think once everything gets stitched, that the fabric will kind of fade into the background, and it'll be a little bit more visible. So I basically stitched this row of letters and then started working on this border here. And like I said, each border is a little bit more complicated. That border has the first border only had 2 colors in it. This border has 3, and to be quite honest, that border kind of got to me a little bit. So I I didn't put in the full week's worth of work on it. I had a couple of days when I decided not to stitch. But I really like how it's turning out. I really like the colors, and I'm really happy with this. It's just going to be a bit of a slog to finish this border so that I can do the next row of letters. So yeah, this is Die Freitag, 1849. The designer is From the Heart Needleart, who is based in Idaho, where I'm from. So that's another reason to stitch it, right? Let's see here. And let's see, I started that on May 3rd of this year. So yeah, 3 months ago. That's 11 days worth of stitching, and this says that I have 74. I can't believe that it will really take that long, because there's a lot of empty space in that sampler. Okay, and then I thought, I'm not ready to go back to the Red House sampler. So I decided to do one more. Like I said, I don't know if I really have a reduced rotation at this point. This is Dragon Quaker. I decided I need to be stitching. I need to work on one of my Quakers. I really like my Quakers. Why am I neglecting them? And I talked about last time about how I wasn't happy because I had a little bit of a change in floss when I ran out of a color of floss, and the dye lot is just a little bit off, and that kind of threw me off the piece a little bit, and I decided you don't need to be afraid of it. You need to work on it. So I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. And I am stitching this on 32 count Dirty Belfast Linen with the called for colors. Stitching with 2 strands of floss over 2 threads. And I actually did quite a bit. So I made it to, this is the big central dragon in the middle. And I think he's about half done. I have to come up and do his head, and then there's like tendrils, or I don't know what they are, that kind of float up back through here. And then of course his legs right here. I did stitch this dragon, so I stitched another dragon. This, in the right light, this looks very different, and sometimes it bugs me and sometimes it doesn't. As I said, I'll probably end up leaving it just because I don't want to unpick all of that. And I think that when everything gets finished, it won't look too bad. And everybody who commented on the video when I talked about this was like, leave it, it looks fine, it looks natural. And I've almost convinced myself, in a certain amount of light, there is no difference. I can't see a difference, but like right now I can see the difference. Anyway, so yeah. So the next time I stitch this, we'll finish this big main dragon. I think I've got well, I don't think I have quite a week's worth of time left to stitch on that. But yeah, this was really fun to work on, actually. Yeah, and there's my other dragon. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 3. And there's is that half? Yeah, half of the small dragons and then the middle dragons. So making good progress on the dragons themselves. I also stitched this bird right here and this little motif here as well. Oh, and then, like, there's a couple of little motifs in here, and I stitched the A also. So yeah, got quite a bit done. So this is Dragon Quaker. The designer is Stickideen von der Weihenburg from Germany, I believe. And it's been, I've really enjoyed that. I really like the dragons. So I posted on Instagram that I was dragon hunting. Let me see here. Dragon Quaker. I started this June 26, 2020, so it's been 2 years. 33 days I've stitched. 42 days remaining. That means I'm almost halfway through. Yeah, 47.5% through. So, yeah, I could really finish that one quickly, I think, if I set my mind to it. Okay, and then after that, I said to myself, I've got to get back to Red House Sampler because I really want to finish Red House Sampler. I want to have at least one more finish before the end of the year. And Red House Sampler is the candidate to be finished because it is the closest to being finished. So this is Red House Sampler by Brenda Keys of the Sampler Company. It's been a while since I started this. This was like a New Year's start, and it was a stitch along. If you're still stitching this, I haven't seen anybody post on Instagram for a while, but there's a BTL Red House Sampler hashtag. If you're stitching this along with me, you can post to that hashtag, and I'll see your stitching. I'll show you what it looked like the last time you saw it. And I got a lot done on this. I'm really happy with what I was able to do. This is being stitched on 40 count Parchment, which is another week's Zweigart fabric. Yeah, and I'm stitching with the called for DMC, but since it's 40 count, I'm stitching one strand over two fabric threads. And this is how much I got done. So I basically stitched and finished the house. And that's what I finished. I finished that Thursday. So the house is finished. And I've been going really, all of this went really fast, but the house has slowed me down. I'll show you that in a minute. So, but yeah, I finished the house. So all that is left to do is I have to bring the border around. I have to stitch the ground that comes over to here. And then there's just a few motifs right in here in this quadrant. So I think now that I've finished the house, I think things will go really quite quickly. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks left to stitch. But I'll give you, I think I've mentioned it before, the red that is used in this is a really bright red, and I was worried about what it would look like in the house. But I just love it. It's stitched in the house with, next to this brown, it just looks like a nice, deep, dark red. I really love it. So I was worried about about it being too bright. It is just right. I just really am really happy with that color. Yeah, and of course the roof is finished, and we've got 2 little chimneys on each end. Yeah, I really like the house. So the main motif is finished. I just have to fill in all the rest. And like I say, this has been, I really enjoyed working on this. The windows kind of got me down a little bit. Brenda, Handwork Maniac, I understand why she says she doesn't like stitching windows. I kind of got that vibe. Because it's the same, you stitch squares over and over and over again. But I hung tough and finished them. Okay. So that's the Red House Sampler by Brenda Keys of the Sampler Company. and we'll show you. I'll tell you. Let's see here. I started this on January 1st, 2020. So I'm coming up on, at the end of the year, it'll be 3 years. It needs to be finished, right? I've stitched on it 50 days, and it looks like 21 days left. Maybe less, because I think I'm out of the thing. I'll show you. This is a chart. It's kind of my pace chart. And I use this chart to say, just give me a feel for how fast I'm stitching. You can see that there was a time when I was actually stitching quite a bit. And now it's dropped off to almost the lowest that it ever was. And I'm hoping that this will pick up, and it actually won't take 21 days. I think it'll be less than 21. So that's what I'm looking forward to. I think this will be my next finish, and I'm going to restructure things a little bit to make sure that happens. So that was my reduced rotation. I haven't stitched everything. There's like 3 or 4 pieces that I haven't touched, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So we'll talk about my focus piece, and that of course is Queen Anne's lace. This is my oldest whip, and she is a lot of work. She's really big and she's full coverage. Of course, it's a lady in a fancy dress. And I'll show you what she looked like the last time you saw her. And I guess it's been 3 or 4 weeks worth of work since I showed her to her last. So things have changed quite a bit, actually. And I'm actually really happy with my progress, and beginning to think that this is going to come to an end soon. Not really soon, but no. Well, I'll show you. This is what she looks like now. So since you last saw her, I finished all of the roses that she's holding, and now you can see her hand. This is another bouquet that's attached to her clothing, and I finished another. There's like more roses down here, and you can see like all of this blue through here is coming up. I have reached her waist. If you look really closely, you can kind of see this is the bodice of the dress right here. And of course, I've finished her arm and have now reached her sleeve. Yeah, so I think I'm really close to her shoulder, actually. So I think we're going to start seeing a lot more detail. I mean, it's like everything's in transition. And actually, it's only a few more diagonals before she'll actually be finished, and then I'll be doing background. Yeah, I've reached, this is like the widest point of the design here. And you can see over here it's starting to curve up and around to the arch. And actually this diagonal, I am going to be starting a new diagonal here. If you draw the line up from that diagonal, I've actually hit the corner. I've actually hit this corner of the design with this diagonal. So this will be my last long diagonal, and then my diagonals are going to start getting shorter again. It used to be I could really go through a diagonal quickly, but these flowers have really kind of made it hard to do that. There's a lot of colors in here. And also this up here is very, very, there's a lot of confetti up in here too. So this is really complicated through here. I always breathe a sigh of relief when I get out of the green, which doesn't bode too well when I get over here and all I'm stitching is green, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I have a whole bunch of metallic thread through here that I need to do. and I haven't decided when I'm going to do it. Maybe when I finish her dress, I'll take time out and fill in all of the metallic that I've still got to do. But yeah, she's really, really, really starting to take shape now, I think. And I'm excited to see how much more I can do. So yeah, like I said, I'm really happy with this. So that's Queen Anne's Lace by Marilyn Levitt Emblem of Lavender and Lace. I had somebody who watched my first video recently and commented and said, I think you would like stitching lavender and lace patterns. Yeah, I think I would too. Okay. So just as we'll just talk about statistics again. I started Queen Anne's Lace on July 27th, 2019. So that is 3 years ago. I've worked on 86 days of stitching. That's a lot of stitching. And my prediction says 62 days left to stitch. So I'm more than halfway. I'm at 63%, but we'll see how things go. I'm not sure that 62 days is actually right because there are a lot of empty stitches around the outside of the actual design. And I think now that I'm getting close to having diagonal shrink, when that happens, it just seems like everything speeds up for me. I mean, it has in the past. I guess we'll see how this goes. Okay, so that's everything I've worked on. Yeah, 5 projects, and I'm, like I said, I'm really happy with what I've been able to stitch. So I just want to show you my whip status, just to show you where I am. You can see, so this is my whip status chart, and you can see Queen Anne's Lace and the Red House Sampler over on the left-hand side. Those are the 2 pieces that are closest to being finished. And then I have like a couple, 3 or 4 that are also progressing really quickly. And I think what's going to happen is those projects that are progressing quickly are probably going to get finished. And then all of the really big projects that are taking a while are just going to have to become focus pieces until they get finished. And we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of the way I'm working right now. Is my oldest whip is my focus piece. So you kind of have to earn your way up to become a focus piece, I guess. I don't have any plan. Well, I am thinking that I'm going to do one more start this year. I think I'm going to do a birthday start. That is in October. I haven't decided what I'm going to start, but I think I'm going to start something. This is my days chart that shows you how many days I've stitched and how many days I have left on each of my projects, and that just kind of emphasizes again. You can see the really tall green bars are the ones that are going to take a while to do, and so I have like 3. I have 3 projects that are just going to have to get all the attention they can when they hit my focus piece. My trend, this is my start and finish trend for the over the years since I started keeping my records. You can see my starts have really dropped, and I'm hoping to get my finishes up. so that my actual number of whips that I work on drops. I want to drop that so that I can spend more time on each project and get stuff done. And then this is what 2022 looks like. This is all the projects I've worked on in 2022. And you can see Queen Anne's Lace. That is the winner. That is the piece that I have worked on most because it's the biggest piece and it's my focus piece. So I'm approaching, well, I'm over a month working on it this year, and so that'll continue. So that's the way things go right now. So those are my charts, just to give you a feel, and I'm really excited to do that. We'll see how things go the rest of the year. I don't know. I think it's possible I might be able to finish Queen Anne's Lace. Yeah, I think I should. I mean, 62 days, that's 2 months. And if I work on it every other week, that actually means 4 months. Yeah, I might squeeze it in by the end of the year. Maybe. That'd be great. Maybe that's my goal, to finish Queen Anne's Lace and Red House Sampler. Get 2 more finishes by the end of the year. So like I said, I don't know that I'm going to work in a reduced rotation. What I think I'm going to do is I think I am going to have a focus piece and a secondary focus piece, which means my focus piece I stitch on every other week, and then my secondary focus piece, which is a Red House Sampler, right? Because I want to finish it. So I think that's going to be my secondary focus piece, just because I want to finish that. So that gives me 3 weeks in a month, for 2 for the focus piece, 1 for the secondary focus piece, and then I'm just gonna stitch on whatever strikes my fancy, whatever strikes my fancy for that 4th week. So I just did my focus piece, secondary focus piece. Now I'm back to my focus piece. So I'm going to be doing Queen Anne's Lace this week, and then the week after I'll choose something else to work on. I don't know what I'm going to work on yet, but we'll decide that next week. And then, okay, just one other thing. I don't know if this is actually going to happen or not, but last night I was working. I had to work late to get something done. We've been working on a project that has been dragging on and on to be finished. I thought I had my part of the project finished, and then in the last couple of days, something came up that made it so that I had to finish something, and I really wanted to get it finished, so I didn't have to worry about it over the weekend. So I worked late last night, and what I do, this stage of what I'm doing, I basically run a command and wait for it to finish, and then run another command. And so I like have these big gaps of time where I'm waiting for something to finish. It's really tedious sometimes. So, I like have 15 minutes while I'm waiting for something to finish, or maybe a half an hour while I'm waiting for something to finish. It's really annoying, but there's nothing I can do about it. Anyway, so I'd received the call telling me that English Garden Sampler was finished, framed. And I thought, I'm just going to get out, while I'm waiting for things, I'm going to get out all of everything that I've stitched and look at it again. So I was going through all of my whips and all of the things that I finished, and seeing some of those stuff and remembering, and it's like, oh, I really love this piece. I wish this, maybe this is the next thing I'll have framed sometime, whatever. And then I pulled out Autumn Magic, and I'll show you a picture of that here. Of course, this is the Heaven and Earth design that I started years and years ago, and I've abandoned it because at the time I said that I wasn't happy with. It looked like there's a man who's standing on the steps of the house, and I said that I was not very happy because he's not going to have a face. And I have since looked at that, and I've decided that was a little bit unfair, because in the actual painting, he really doesn't have a face. He's small enough that it just kind of is suggested. And I think the real reason why I decided to stop working on that is that I don't like stitching one strand over one full coverage. It's just, I don't know. I think that's the real reason. But I pulled it out last night and saw it, and it's like, oh, this really looks good. And I've spent so much time on it. Maybe I need to give it another shot. So I may be trying to figure out how to work that back in. Maybe not in the next month or so. I don't know. But that's in the back of my mind, that I really ought to pick that up again. So maybe sometime I'll actually stitch Autumn Magic and see if I can make some good progress on that. So that's kind of what my plans are. I'm kind of being a little bit unorganized for myself, but I think that's what I have to do in order to try to get my whip count down, is really squeeze down on the starts. No more starts until I can get down to 4 or 5 projects, which is a long ways away, I'm afraid. And I think what's going to happen is the stuff that I have that is not so large, that will finish quickly, is going to drop out. And then all of my really big projects are going to be lined up to hit my focus piece. And I think if I do any starts, they're not going to be big, large projects. They're going to have to be smaller projects that won't take hundreds of days to finish. Just to get to a point where I can say, until I can get, I don't think I'm going to do anything really big until I can get like 3 or 4 of those really big projects stitched. That's long term. That's not next week stuff. That's like in a couple of years type stuff. But I'm really happy with how the focus piece thing has turned out so far. Of course, I finished a Mid-Amish Life that way, and Time and Season Sampler, and now we've got Queen Anne's Lace. It's going to be finished by the end of the year. So yeah, I said that. We'll see. Anyway, so those are my plans. And that is about all that I have to share with you. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I really appreciate it. As always, if you haven't, feel free to subscribe to my channel. That way you can be notified when I post a new video. And I think I'm to the point where I can be a little bit more consistent. As always, I'd love to thank you for your comments, and I would love to hear from you and answer any questions that you have for me. And if you've enjoyed this video, feel free to like it. That is a great help also. Thank you so much again for spending time with me. I hope that you have a great week and a great month, and we will talk to you later. Goodbye.